What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is Mikey McNuggets, Tyvis Powell, a.k.a. The Thug, and Jay Stevens of the Lockdown Podcast here as we break down the last 2 minutes here and ensuing final moments of another Ohio State win over Penn State. Is currently 44-24 as Ohio State is on defense. But defense is where we got to start, guys. And number 44, G. Bush, is joining us now as well. Let me bring G in here before we start. G. Bush, what's up, baby?
Because we're ordinary people.
44 is not ordinary.
I was saying 44 ain't ordinary.
No, he's not. Best defensive performance you've ever seen?
Listen, JT Tuimoloau, make sure you pronounce this last name. Tuimoloau is the best. That's the best single game D lineman performance I've ever seen in my life. This man had 2 picks, 1 to the house, 2 sacks, a strip sack, recovered the strip sack. Man, the dude single-handedly kept the Buckeyes in the game. Dude, great.
I'm going to keep it all the way up. I'm going to keep it a buck with you, bro. First of all, he already won because he got a number 44. You don't know what position he plays.
You're right. You're right.
He could be a D tackle. He could be an end. He could be a fullback. He could be a linebacker. And if he's a really garbage safety, he can wear 44. nobody has 44
as a
safety.
Andrew Sendejo number, right?
Yes, it is. That is a number no one wants except a big guy trying to pose as a small dude, but he did not play small today. Tyvis said it. Listen, that's a D lineman's dream. It's like a fat kid on a Sunday. Root beer thoughts. You know what I'm saying? You just sitting there, and that's like your mom tell you, "Hey, go to the candy store and get whatever you want." You like whatever I want, all of it. This man gets picks, and the second pick was crazy. The second pick actually spawned the post-game show. When he got that pick, everybody was like, "Hey, listen, just go. Hey, man, hey, McNuggets, come on, let's go ahead. Go ahead and start this joint. Go ahead and start this joint, dog. Y'all crazy. He doing too much out here. He gonna walk off the field like he knew what it. I said, "Oh, this dude tripping." He like, and when you go to Ohio State, by the way, Tyvis knows this. There is always guys who they have who you might not know is good, but then you be like, who is this guy? He was the number 1 overall recruit in the Eastern Seaboard. Japan and Taiwan won him.
Dude, right?
He's from Washington.
Yeah.
I'm like,
you watch every Buckeye game you have for a couple of years now with the Lockdown Browns podcast, but I mean, we were saying Joey Bosa wasn't doing this kind of stuff. What JTT did today is something we really haven't seen from an Ohio State defensive player, really any defensive player in the country the last couple of years.
No. You haven't. You don't see stuff like this. I mean, you talk about that second pick, a G. Bush said that kind of made the show. A full extension, and then he runs it in, and as he walks off, you know that he is that guy. I mean, say full extension, can't see me in the screen. You don't see that kind of stuff from a guy ever. But Ohio State needed that type of guy, somebody to step up in this game. And he was the guy that stepped up on defense to really make this blowout. Let's say blowout. They're about 13. But to make the final score be what it was, because I didn't see 44 points while I was watching the game at the end of the first half into the third quarter. I didn't see 44 points from the Buckeyes, but it's because of performances like him on defense, and that's how Stroud was able to really open things up in really the last 5-8 minutes of the game when he was able to do his thing.
Yeah, it's a 13-point game now. Penn State just scored. I have the line at 14, so that kind of hurts. We need a quick Travion Henderson run here.
Oh, you hate to see
it. Yeah, you really do hate to see that. Speaking of Travion Henderson, we're going to get into all the other stuff in a sec, but we have to talk about the play calling real quick, because despite the fact they win, despite the fact that the numbers are going to end up looking good and Henderson broke those 2 long runs late, that his stat line looks a lot better than it was. There was a lot of points in this game where they were trying to force the run, and Penn State did a really good job of shutting it down. It's the opposite of the Browns. When you have Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, you feed Nick Chubb. When you have C.J. Stroud at quarterback, throw the rock around and see what's up. Tyvis, I'll start with you, but what did you make of some of the questionable play calling from Ryan Day here?
Well, it was one of them situations where I was when I watched the game last week against Iowa, I said, leaving that game, I said that the weak point of our offense is the interior offensive line, meaning our guards and our center. I think that they got kind of exposed a little bit. But I'm like, oh, you know what? Maybe I'm just tripping. You know, that's one game. You know, maybe they coming out the bye week. But this game, it was the same thing. Our guards got beat a couple of times, and they made a bunch of TFLs in the backfield. So that's an area of concern that needs to get fixed. However, running the ball, if you're in the Big Ten, you have to know how to run the ball. Like, that's historically, when you think about the Big Ten, they always have been teams that run the ball well. And if you can't do that, you will struggle. I mean, you think about going against the team, like the team up north last year when we lost. We couldn't run the ball, but they ran the ball very successful, and they was very dominant because of that. You think about when they played Penn State this year, the team up north I'm talking about, they ran the ball very effectively, and that's how that game got out of hand. We got to find a way to run the ball effectively, because I get we got a great quarterback, we got great receivers, but at some point, running the ball is going to be what's going to be the bread and butter, and that's something that we got to fix, and that's an area of concern for me at this moment.
You know, one thing with the run game that I find, it's that when Mayan Williams went down, or even earlier in the year when TreVeyon Henderson didn't play, or when Mayan was down a couple games ago, Ryan Day and Tony Alford are solidifying we're only going to have one running back. We're not going to use a Dallin Hayden, or this week it could be Chip Trainum, who moved from linebacker to running back. We're only going to use one running back. And in this game, when you're not able to run the ball, we saw Mayan could get open, get a little bit going. But once he went down, it was TreVeyon Henderson, and Penn State knew TreVeyon Henderson could not beat you consistently, and Ryan Day went away from that. We saw the outside bubble screens, which were consistent, and even during the game, people are probably thinking, like, why are they doing this? Well, they're trying to get the ball and maybe be an extension of the run game on the outside simply because they can't do it between the tackles, and that wasn't working either. If it wasn't for a Cade Stover amazing block later in the game when TreVeyon Henderson had a long run, really the run game was obsolete. And as Tyvis said, and he knows it so well, he played in the Big Ten, you got to be able to run the ball, not just for Big Ten ball, but if you want to win a national championship, you got to find a way to run the ball, which makes me wonder if Mayan can't go next week, what do they do? Do they try to work a second back in? Do they try to rely on TreVeyon Henderson? I don't know, but I kind of hope that they try to work a second back in there to try to figure something out. We saw Xavier Johnson earlier in the season kind of be in the backfield for a little bit. Thought that might be something we would see down the road. This would have been a good game to see a Xavier Johnson in the backfield once Mayan Williams went down. That didn't happen, though.
G, what do you think?
Hey, listen, I'm going to let people know right now. Look, yeah, it's cute. You can get that off against, Penn State or whatever, because, to be truthful, Penn State just sold out. They just said, all right, well, look, man, we're going to snug everything up. We're going to run man. And at the end of the game, I was kind of sitting there thinking, why are they off Marvin Harrison Jr. that much? Like, what are you back 10 yards for? You do know this is slant time. And they was able to complete passes, at the end of the game. But I'll say this. If you want to beat the SEC teams, if you want to beat the Georgias, if you want to beat the Alabamas, heck, Tennessees, right? You going to have to, stop the run, and you're going to have to actually run this rock. And you look at it last year. And sometimes when you running the football, running the football is all about whether you conditioned to do it, right? You got to get conditioned. Your fellas up front got to understand. It takes a different mindset and a different body type. And like to run the ball, you got to be hitting the sled. Like during the Tuesdays and it's cold, you got to be hitting. And cats don't be wanting to hit the sleds. You get comfortable in them 2-point stance. And especially when you got CJ Stroud throwing the ball all around the park, you seeing all these nice little receivers and stuff. Bro, that's intoxicating. I said it before. It's just throwing the football is like taking jump shots in basketball. When your jump shot is going, you over there like, this is butter. I don't even want to get to the rim. This is all going down for me. But you live by that, you're going to die by that. Because one day, that ain't going to work. You might be playing, and you know what? Guys might not have it. You could do this against Penn State because they ain't got nobody for Harrison Jr. Ibuka didn't play too terribly good, but he caught the ball at the end of the game. So you start to see your athletes take hold. But if you play in Michigan, which they gonna run ball control, they ain't gonna be out here running up and down the field with you, Tyvis. You know that. Yeah, it might be 4 possessions. Harbaugh got 36 tight ends in the game and fullbacks, like with the little quarterback they got. They ain't doing nothing special, and you gotta get them off the field. You got to be able to run this football. I'm happy they did it in the second half. In the fourth quarter, they ran it when they needed to, but we need to see that more in the first half too.
That's the thing that's getting me kind of frustrated. I'm kind of worried about it a little bit because you think about this game and the Iowa game. Like I say, it started off real slow. And it looked like Iowa's defense and even Penn State's defense was actually banging with them and stopping them. If you get a team that's conditioned to go 4 quarters, like it can get scary. If the only thing you can rely on is passing the ball and they can hang with you for 4 quarters, it's going to look totally different. So you got to find a way to establish getting both things going.
Could I make one counterpoint, though? And I agree with you. You have to run the ball. But this is also the single best passing attack in college football without Jackson Smith-Njigba, and at some point, arguably the best receiver on the team is going to come back. And you do have to have some semblance
I'm
of
with
balance.
Tyvis on that one. I don't think so.
You don't think he's coming back?
No.
Oh no! Listen, listen, he put Joey Bosa. The other Bosa called him and said, "Hey dog, hey shut it down, fam. I got some guys you already know."
He out here getting outside
getting
outside evaluations on this stuff. It's over.
Okay. Well, even if he doesn't come back, we'll take Jackson Smith-Njigba out of the equation.
Okay.
You have Marvin Harrison Jr., Ibuka. You have Julian Fleming and some other guys. They ran today, and I got the numbers in front of me. 26 attempts for 98 yards total. That includes a 41-yard rush by Travion Henderson at the end. So you take that out of the equation. They ran the ball 25 times for 55 yards. At some point, I know you want to be balanced, but go to what's working. This game was too tight until the very end, in my opinion, for them to be trying to run the ball on first and second down as consistently as they did. I would have preferred to see them air it out a little bit because I thought C.J. Stroud actually played really, really well. And they can't guard Marvin Harrison Jr. Tyvis, you tell me, is he the best receiver Ohio State's had in the last couple of years? And that's saying something.
That is saying a lot.
I think he's that good. I'm
going to be honest with you. The kid is a freak, and the numbers he's putting up is out of this world. I got to wait to see his whole body of work because right now it's easy to do it that first year because nobody know about you like that. It's so easy. Especially it's hard for coaches to make in-season adjustments for people. Next year, if he does this again, I'm behind it 100%. But right now, freshmen gonna get off. I mean, you think about JSN last year. Nobody knew who JSN was last year like that. But he had Garrett Wilson and he had Chris Olave, so he eating. Well, this year they got a whole bunch of Mecca still there. Marvin doing his thing, but like they don't really know like that. So it's too early to say that. It's too early.
Well, it was a big win. At the end of the day, you're asked to go on the road in Happy Valley, respond in a hostile environment, and they did. Jay, C.J. Stroud, it did look like, though, had some issues with the play clock. They haven't gone silent count yet this year. They're going to go on the road at some point and have to play in some big-time environments and get some big-time wins to close out the stretch here. Is that any concern?
Actually, no, because I don't believe they have another tough environment they play in. But I'm going to pull my calendar out really quickly because I don't remember everything. They have 2 more away games, one against Northwestern, and I believe the Maryland game's on the road as well. I don't really see those as hostile environments. Tyvis has played in both places. I don't think those would be hostile environments. They really were favorable this year with their schedule. One of those might be a home game because I know Ohio State has only 3 away games this year, but no, like the road stuff, I don't see that being an issue. Because you're going to play at Indianapolis Big Ten Championship, assuming Ohio State beats the team up north, the final game of the season, and then it's a playoff game, and it's 2 more neutral site games. So you would think he'd be better at it because of last season, but I don't see the hostile environment and the noise being an issue due to the favorable schedule the Buckeyes have this year.
I see Bulls in the chat, and he says, I'm not – but what do you want us to do, man? What do you want us to do?
He said that are we complaining about a double-digit win? Yeah. Cool. Yes, we are. Because you don't understand. Like, it's you looking at it from the fourth quarter. It's what they're doing is the athleticism is overpowering everything in the fourth quarter. Iowa gave up in the fourth quarter because they couldn't hang no more. Penn State gave up in the fourth quarter because they couldn't hang no more. You go down to them SEC schools, they banging with you for 4 quarters. So I'm not looking at it from you looking at it from just, oh, they won this game. You got to look at the big picture. Like, they got to put together a complete game where they just look dominant for 4 quarters, and still we have not seen a game from the time the ball kicked off to the time the game ended where they just completely dominated, and that's what we waiting on.
See this, and see, here's the thing, Bull. Like, this college football different. You know what I'm saying? This ain't the NFL. You can just say you want to win or survive or whatever the case may be. College football a little silly, bro. You take a look at the strength of schedule when you talk about these dudes in the SEC. Now, these guys, this is just Alabama. Now, Alabama went to Texas and won. They've already played Arkansas, Texas A&M, who was ranked earlier. They lost. They had to go down to Tennessee. And they went down there and took a L. That was one of the best games of the year. They lost to the amazing game. Mississippi State played them tough, right? Think about it. I just named those games, and they still have LSU, who's ranked, Mississippi, who's ranked. They got to go do the Iron Bowl, and they still got to go back and play an SEC championship game before they get to the title game. So what we're saying is, yes, those games count, but one of the things that they've learned how to do, they played against teams that's going to run the ball a lot. They played against teams that's going to throw a lot. They played against teams that blitz. They've done all of these different things, so they know what to do. When you Ohio State and you playing Illinois and Indiana, you ain't taking nothing from that. You got to only take the stuff from Penn State, you taking stuff from Michigan, right? And you just hope you can get past what Michigan gonna give you. But you gotta be able to run the ball. Look at that championship Tyvus and them won. They won that on run game. Listen, Zeke in the defense was like, oh yeah, they went old. It was almost trestle ball a little bit. Zeke was getting 200. It was 200 a game. And that's how they was able to beat Alabama, because they out Alabama.
Yeah, but it goes both ways, though, because like Joe Burrow on that LSU team had Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson on the outside. And then the next year with Alabama, they had Devonta Smith and Mac Jones. And college football is about scoring points.
They still had a good running back, though.
They had Najee Harris at Alabama and Clyde Edwards-Helaire at LSU.
The 50-50 split of balance that I think is a lot more important in the NFL than it is in college football. With the running game, though, and Jay, I want to start with you here. Tyvus had mentioned, or G had mentioned, or maybe it was even you, the interior of the offensive line was a concern. And today we saw Penn State get a lot of pressure up the middle against them, and especially was the reason they were able to stuff the run. That's not necessarily an easy fix. So what do you expect to see from Ryan Day and the staff in that regard as far as shoring up the interior of the offensive line as they go through the last 2-3 regular season games here?
Honestly, it's just coaching throughout the week, because I don't believe any of the backups are good enough to where you would want to make a change internally with the O-line to where your guard center or guard is going to be a new starter. And I don't see them doing what they did last year, moving tackles to guard. So you really just got to roll with those guys and try to make some changes in the film sessions and then in practice to try to fine-tune what's going on there. It's really tricky because we all know the Big Ten. You mentioned Indiana. Indiana's a school that Ohio State plays in the final 4 games of the season. They play Northwestern next week, who is a bad football team. You got Maryland on the 19th and the team up north. You're not playing really anybody that can test to those guys for 4 quarters. So I really think you got to figure things out internally during practice. And so that when you play the team up north, the final game of the season, some of the issues we saw against Iowa and then today, they don't come back to haunt you, because you got some time between now and then. You got some more game reps to kind of figure out some of the issues. But it's all about Thanksgiving weekend. You got to figure out things now before that game, because if not, I don't want to say it's going to happen 2 years in a row, but internal issues on the O-line could be a reason why that does happen. I still think Ohio State does win that game, just for the record.
I'm gonna tell you a game that's gonna be interesting. Say we do get, when we get past the team up north, if the Big Ten championship is against Illinois, it's gonna be closer than a lot of people think. Illinois is number 1 in the college football for points given up. I think they only given up 8 points a game or something like that. So that defense for Illinois,
hey, Brett Bielema's got them boys working over there, man.
Run the ball. So I learned that Brett Bielema actually, like, once he left Arkansas, he got under Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick taught him the game. He took what he learned from Bill Belichick and went to Illinois, and that's why they successful, because they play great defense and they run the ball. That Chase Brown dude pretty special. So if that's what we see in the Big Ten championship game, it's going to be more interesting than a lot of people think.
The difference, though, with Illinois, though, if they do match up with Ohio State, is just the athletes on the outside. Like, yeah, Bielema has done a great job coaching that team up, and they're definitely better than they have been in the last few years. But trust me, them dudes in Illinois are not guarding Marvin Harrison Jr.
They're going to run the ball. They're going to clock managers.
Yeah.
Unless Juice Williams is coming back and Rashard Mendenhall. Stop it. Juice Williams. Don't forget, them boys was Impact back then. I'm like, these dudes, they should have checked them immediately for illegal funds. Listen, how the heck did you get all them receivers up there? Who was up there? There was no reason they had receivers and a quarterback in Illinois. For what? Why would you go to Chicago and do anything but size hoop?
Gee, I feel what you're saying, and I say the same thing. I say Illinois. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you, when they play the team up north, it'll be interesting to see the game. That I tell you, that's a game that I'm gonna have to tune into.
And I don't want Big Ten championship game, Tyler. You better damn well tune into that if it happens.
No. The Big Ten championship won't happen until after
they play.
The team up north playing Illinois.
Oh, I thought you meant Ohio State. Ohio State, Illinois.
And by the way, they got to switch. They got to realign these divisions too. It's about time you realign that. Get Michigan on the other side, because here's what you want. Here's what you want. You want a rematch. You want Ohio State to be like, hey,
they about to get rid of that. They getting rid of the East. They thinking about getting rid of East and West and just letting the best.
They're gonna keep it for next year. They're gonna have East and West the same as this year for next year, and then they're gonna change it when UCLA and USC come in. So they say.
It'll be Coastal versus Midwest. The two
I want an opportunity that I can see UCLA and USC in the Big Ten championship game, because that's an absolute oxymoron. It wouldn't compute to me. And I want an opportunity that I need to see, an opportunity that you get a Michigan-Ohio State rematch. Because if the team loses in the Big Ten, whoever loses in that game, Ohio State, Michigan, they're de facto almost out of the running. But here's what can happen.
Why is Bull in the chat?
Hey, Bull, you gotta send a super chat if we want to get on.
Yeah, you know what, Bull, you're right. I'm not putting any of Bull stuff back on unless he super chats us.
You got super chat us, dog. By the way, super chats is available. We got 258 people in the building. Hit that notification bell. We're gonna be doing shows. Hopefully when we do college football, as long as Ohio State is riding, I think we might be doing some shows. Michigan. We might have Big Ten championship. Final Four. I'm just saying.
And also, real quick, before anyone says anything, on Monday, big time announcement on the show, on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show at 11 o'clock. Probably do it around 12:15. We got a big time announcement coming Monday, so make sure you guys tune into that.
I don't like the fact that he just announced a big time announcement and I knew nothing of it. I had no forethought.
You know what it is. You just maybe not know it's an announcement.
I done forgot it.
Yeah, we got a big time announcement coming on Monday. If you guys don't already like and subscribe, you should do that. Well, you can't be cursing out people in the chat. I guess you know what, you can, Bull. You do what you want, sir. I'm just not putting it up unless you super chat it. And then, make sure you like the Lockdown Buckeyes podcast too with Jay Stevens. Does a great job with that. All right, big picture, guys. Big picture. We broke down this game. I love Bull. Bull, and the best part about Bull, real quick, is the Bull you see in the chat is the Bull you see behind scenes, is the Bull you see on air, is the Bull you see when we're talking after shows. Bull is Bull, and he's the absolute best. The absolute best.
He done ruffled his feathers. Yeah, man, you done ruffled his feathers, baby.
Hey, you super shadows, we'll put that up, dog.
Go ahead, McNugget. What you got for him?
All right, just and check your phone. Check the text that Bull just sent us. Robbie Miller said, "Illinois ain't beating Ohio State." Robbie, I completely agree with you. But okay, big picture question. Big picture question.
I just said that it's close. It might be closer than you think.
JTT, obviously player of the game defensively. Marvin Harrison, offensive player of the game offensively. If you were ranking the college or making the college football playoff today, is Ohio State the number one seed based on what they've done and what you've seen from this team so far this season? Jay, we'll start with you, then go G. Tyvis.
if they're the number 1 seed, I'd have to say, my gut says no, but they've been one of the most dominant teams on offense and defense all year. So with me saying that, I would have to say yes. And it's weird saying that, knowing what's going on. You put me on the spot. I'll go ahead and say, I'll say no. They're not the number 1 seed, but I know they're in.
G?
No, I'm gonna have to go with Tennessee. They have more impressive wins. They beat Florida by 5. They beat Alabama. They've already beat a ranked LSU team 40-13. They're gonna get an opportunity to play a 19th ranked Kentucky team coming up tonight at 7, and then we'll figure out how good they are, because they got another number 1 team next week against the Dogs between the hedges, and it's gonna be a thing.
Davis?
Absolutely, they're the number 1 team for sure. As much as I sit here and complain about them, I do believe that they are the number 1 team in the country, due to the fact that statistically they have one of the top offenses and they top in every defensive category, top 5 in every category. Tennessee's pass defense is by far one of the worst in college football. They're ranked in the 100th. That will get exposed, especially if they win up against an Ohio State like that. So
I was going to ask you that too.
Head to toe with their body of work, I think I would put them number 1.
Do you now? If you talk about head to head on the field, when you rankings is cool, but if you gotta say head to head, you got a Tennessee, a Georgia, and Alabama. Where do you put Ohio State in that mix? If you got to go head to head, roster for roster,
I would see them beating Tennessee. Okay. I would see them beating Alabama too, because Alabama, if you stop Gibbs, it's over with. That's literally the only person they got. The Georgia one would be interesting because that defense is still good. However, they offense, they got the tight ends, but it ain't really nobody that kind of scares you like that. Like Ohio State, it's people that keep you up at night on Ohio State.
Yeah, I don't know how Georgia does it. Kevin Stefanski getting his play calls from them. Listen, that's Bowers. That's Bowers.
You know what's different about Georgia? So working in Texas the last 2 years and getting to be on the sideline for the A&M games. And by the way, Spooning Images, we love you too. Thank you again for your contribution.
I see you, big homie.
The difference in size and stature and the all busted. I'm sure Ohio State fits this. I haven't seen Ohio State in person from the sideline.
They ain't like them SEC boys.
Everyone's in the SEC's big. And then Alabama and Georgia are on their own level. And then right underneath that is kind of LSU, A&M, and Tennessee's approaching that spot. Auburn to an extent. But the dudes on Georgia, how they win,
I don't know how they win.
At every spot. And it does it anytime their tight end, if you guys haven't watched him, number 0, I think he's Darnell Washington. He's 6'8", 270. And he's just jumping up mossing. And guys are bouncing off him. It's absurd.
He looked like one of the Monstars, bro, and he looked like he do look like a Darnell Washington. When I
seen them hand him the ball, I said,
"Yeah,
that's sweet." Oh yeah, they.
Nah, see, here's the thing.
That's not normal.
Here's how you know. Here's how you know they dudes is on something else. Go ahead.
He was recruited as an offensive tackle, for the record. He's recruited as an offensive tackle, and they go, "You're too athletic to play tackle. Don't put on weight. Lose a little bit. We're gonna turn you to tight end." Go.
And then here's how you know. Here's how you know they on some other type stuff. This trash down in the SEC. Not only are they gonna hand the ball to a wide receiver, a tight end on the reverse, they hand it to a white boy tight end on a reverse, and he leaves everybody, all the brothers behind, and he goes to the house 3-4 times. I said, this is some crap. Where'd you get him? Where'd you find him? You don't get you. Listen, they do it 2-3 times a game. They throw fades to him. I'm like, Kevin Stefanski, close your eyes. This is not for you. This is not Harrison Bryant.
First round pick.
This is not this, and this ain't that. It ain't that. No, it does not compare. And they was doing that last year to him. Last year, they was spot shouting him against Alabama. Here's the problem. I don't believe in the mailman, the mail guy. Listen, that little Bennett. Yeah, I don't believe in him. I don't believe in the mailman.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute, G. Bush. This is the thing. You remember how you went on a rant about how if Kareem Hunt should have had a new position, Kevin Stefanski could have put him at tight end or something like that?
Yeah.
He about to get rid of Kareem, and he about to get this tight end from Georgia.
And I'm glad he won't be around in the 4th round when they get the first pick.
Thank you.
Right.
They
got a first round pick. Listen, I don't know if they're going to trade. I don't know if Kevin Stefanski got some children he wants to trade, but we ain't got first picks. We gave up my unborn children and the first round picks to get Deshaun Watson. Damn it, he has to play.
And it's still a damn good trade. It's still the right move. We're doing a Browns post-game show Monday night, too, after the Browns-Bengals Monday Night Football game. This is the Buckeyes post-game show. So we got one last thing we're going to wrap up here about the Buckeyes. I do think it's interesting, resume versus resume. You can argue Ohio State 1, 2. Tennessee is the most impressive wins. Ohio State's been the most consistent. It's all semantics. But as you look down the last 4 regular season games here, or 3 heading into the game against the team up north, I'll take Tyvis's approach here. I will not say our executive producer's alma mater because, we're on an Ohio State postgame show. But what's the one thing, Jay, we'll start with you and with Tyvis, one thing you need to see from this team the next 2.5, 3 games here to solidify your confidence level heading into that game against the team up north?
Better running game. I think that's easy. I could have gone O-line. It fixed that issue. But I believe if you get the running game going, that fixes some of the issues we see with the O-line. I want to see more consistent running game. I don't really care who the running back is. I have my favorites. I don't care. Get a more consistent running game, and that'll make everybody feel more comfortable going into the game against the team up north.
G? And by the way, Spani says, you're too funny.
Hey, listen.
And we love Spani.
I'm about to do some stand-up over at the Improv. Over there with me. I'm going to do something. I'm going to come on right after Mike Polk Jr. And if nothing works, I'm going to just say curse words.
All you got to do is go to the fantasy league, and you sure will be up.
Hey, right now, if the league ended today, I'm doing stand-up. So,
hey, McDuggets, please don't do that.
me, Brad, and Anthony are tied for dead last right now.
For real? No, Anthony beat me last week. Ain't no way.
Oh, it's me, Tyvis. Me, Tyvis, and Anthony are tied, not Brad. Me, Tyvis, and Anthony.
Can you imagine the mayor having to do like civil rights jokes or something? Like Brad will be on there like, I knew Martin Luther King.
We were talking I was talking to Polk, who would be the worst at it, and I do think Brad would be the absolute worst because he'd have to toe that fine line of still being a professional and political.
It'll melt on him and it ain't gonna look good. He's gonna have to gracefully.
I will say, go ahead, G. Bush.
I'll say one of the things they're gonna have to work on is, and this is me. I already know what Harbaugh is working on. See, Harbaugh loves that McNamara kid. Where did he go? We ain't seen him in weeks. They got him up out of here. The little scrappy kid, they got him out of here. They got the old boy in here. And now that what they trying to do is, see, now it's 3rd and 3. He could just pull the screens down and take off for like 2-3 yards and do it all over again. He got read option open. So what the Buckeyes got to do, they was letting this little dude with the knee brace move around too much. I didn't like that. I didn't like he had lanes in the middle. He had a knee brace, the stick shift knee brace. It looked like he had a clutch. He had a diesel knee brace. I don't like dudes with knee braces running around trying to act athletic. They got to tighten that up because they're going to have all the quarterbacks running and moving around. Michigan is trying to come in here and muddy the game up. It ain't going to be cute. So quarterback sneak, quarterback draw, broken plays with 35 fullbacks is exactly what they want to do, and they got to clean that up. They ain't gonna start hitting that dude in the backfield for no yards, man. We'll clean that up.
Tyvis?
So it's 2 things. It's 3 things that they got to do if they want to hold up that trophy. The first thing is they got to fix that interior of that offensive line. The 2 tackles is solid. I mean, Paris Johnson and DeJuan, they as good as they come. But those 3 in the middle, they got to figure that thing out. They got to figure out a way to be more physical and can't give up these TFLs. So that's 1. 2, that passing defense, I'm still waiting on them corners because they let Parker Washington get a little loose today, and I knew it. I've been saying it all week. Parker Washington gonna go crazy in this game, and he definitely did. So the pass defense still have to be fixed, especially at the DB position. And then lastly, they just got to put together a performance. They got to start coming out fast. These last 2 weeks, it's been too slow, too lackadaisical, too many mistakes, and they got to find a way to have a foot on the gas from the time that ball kicks off to the time the game ends.
And mine is that I need to wear special goggles when I watch Ohio State because it really hurts my eyes going from watching the Browns offense to Ohio State's offense with how open guys are and just how easy they make it look to go up and down the field. The truth is they're really good, and we're nitpicking here because when you're number one team in the country and you're really good, there's not a lot to complain about. They haven't lost yet, and it frankly hasn't been that close for the majority. So it's a good time to be a Buckeye fan. Couple easy games, knock on wood, coming up before the game against the team up north with revenge on their mind. Once again, big announcement Monday on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Make sure you checked out Locked On Buckeyes with Jay Stevens. Jay, it's Monday through Friday, right?
Correct. Monday through Friday.
That's with him. Tyvis, G. Bush, we're back Monday. The Buckeyes continue to dominate, continue to win. And we'll see you guys after the Michigan game for our next Ohio State postgame show. That's it for G. Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jay Stevens. It's McNuggets. We'll see you guys on Monday.